The woman opened the door and was surprised to find that there was a black brick wall at the door. At first she thought it was a prank, but when she opened the window, she found that all the windows were sealed without any gaps. What's worse, there was no signal in the room, and they could not ask for help from the outside world. They were trapped at home. Xiaoli kicked the brick wall angrily, but the brick wall did not move at all. As an architect, Xiaoli could not tell what material the brick wall was made of, and the arrangement of the bricks was very chaotic, with no logic at all. Xiaoli didn't want to sit and wait for death, so she took the electric drill at home and started to demolish the brick wall violently. The strange thing was that no matter how hard she tried, not even a piece of debris fell off the brick wall. Her boyfriend came to help. With the combined efforts of the two, the drill bit of the electric drill was burned red, but the brick wall was still intact. The two began to demolish the wall to see how much of the area was surrounded by the wall. From the holes on the wall, it can be seen that the entire outside of the room was surrounded by the wall. At this time, the two heard a noise from the neighbor, so they opened the door to the neighbor's room and heard the neighbor's noise. They broke through the neighbor's room and heard the neighbor's noise. They wanted to see how much the brick wall surrounded. From the holes in the wall, they could see that the entire outside of the room was surrounded by brick walls. The two heard the neighbor's noise, broke through the neighbor's room and heard the neighbor's noise. They wanted to see how much the brick wall surrounded. From the holes in the wall, they could see that the entire outside of the room was surrounded by brick walls. The noise of the neighbor opened the door to the noise of the neighbor, wanted to see how much the brick wall surrounded. From the holes in the wall, it can be seen that the entire outside of the room was surrounded by brick walls. At this moment, the two heard the noise of the neighbor, wanted to see how much the brick wall surrounded. From the holes in the wall, it can be seen that the entire outside of the room was surrounded by brick walls. At this moment, the two heard the noise of the neighbor, wanted to see how much the brick wall surrounded. From the holes in the wall, it can be seen that the entire outside of the room was surrounded by brick walls. At this moment, the two heard the noise of the neighbor, wanted to see how much the brick wall surrounded. From the holes in the wall, it can be seen that the entire outside of the room was surrounded by brick walls. At this moment, the two heard the noise of the neighbor, wanted to see how much the brick wall surrounded. From the holes in the wall, it can be seen that the entire outside of the room was surrounded by brick walls. At this moment, the two heard the noise of the neighbor. At this moment, the two heard the noise of their neighbors and wanted to see how much of the area was surrounded by the brick wall. From the holes in the wall, it can be seen that the entire outside of the room was surrounded by brick walls. Sure enough, there were cameras inside. The bearded man instantly thought that it was very likely that the woman had deliberately installed cameras to monitor them in order to see them suffer. Xiaoli suggested that the landlord lived next door, and we could go ask her. But when they broke through the wall and came to the opposite room, they saw the landlord's body. Now there was no one to answer their doubts. The boyfriend picked up the landlord's mobile phone, and there were several photos of brick walls in the album. The film seemed to have no clues, so everyone could only continue smashing down to the first floor, where a strange man appeared. The man said his name was Yuri, and he was a friend of the resident. He had come to visit her, but after the black wall appeared, his friend's pacemaker had an accident, so he died. Seeing her look sad, everyone did not suspect anything, but the granddaughter walked towards the manuscript next to her, thinking that the content written on it might be related to the brick wall. Yuri said that these things were just written casually by his friend, and asked his granddaughter not to take it seriously. However, after she left, Yuri crumpled the manuscript into a ball, and it seemed that there should be some clues about the brick wall in it. The others continued smashing down, and finally broke through and came to the underground floor, which was the subway station. Everyone. When people arrived at the subway's emergency exit, they knew they could get out if they just had to open the door in front of them. Xiaoli picked up a sledgehammer and started swinging it. The couple behind her held hands, praying that they would be able to get out. Xiaoli smashed all the iron bars and opened the door. The scene before them made despair. It was still a brick wall. No one noticed. Yuri smiled, but his beard was so that he cursed loudly, saying every curse word he had learned in his life. Received at home from those metal objects, and immediately shouted, "Get down!" The bullet asking rebounded after 0.001 seconds, and everyone lay on the ground. Unfortunately, the old man was hit by the bullet because of his slow movements. The granddaughter cried and hugged the old man, everyone to save her quickly. However, they were trapped here, and could do nothing but watch the old man leave. Huzinan never thought that because of his impulsive behavior, the old man would lose his life. Dare to be impulsive again. After the sadness, they still have to find a new way to escape. The boyfriend suddenly thought that he saw the photo of the brick wall on the landlord's mobile phone, and thought of the landlord installing a surveillance camera. Maybe he would have more information. Everyone searched carefully, not missing any details, and they found something wrong. The boyfriend discovered that the landlord's living room seemed smaller than his own, so he knocked on the wall and found it empty. The boyfriend blew flour on the remote control, and 4 clear fingerprints immediately emerged. So the password should be a combination of these 4 numbers. After that, he tried them one by one, and sure enough, the door opened. What came into view was a monitoring room. The computer displayed the images of all the rooms. The boyfriend replayed the surveillance video and slowed it down to 0.5 times the speed. He saw a black brick wall appear out of thin air in 1 second. Everyone couldn't believe their eyes. Although they explained how the black brick wall came about, how should they escape? On the other side, the granddaughter did not go to the landlord's room, but stayed on the first floor. She always felt that there might be some clues in those manuscripts. She found that the distribution of the draft map was exactly the same as that of the brick wall in front of her, and there were some formulas next to it. Maybe the resident had already had some clues. She saw something like a code in the upper right corner of another manuscript of the resident. To look at the resident, wanting to ask him what he had found. Suddenly she found that the resident's scarf was very abrupt, so she walked forward and pulled open the scarf, and found purple and blue scars on the neck. This was clearly suffocation caused by someone strangling the neck. Just when she was shocked, Yuli had come behind her. At the same time, other people checked the surveillance and found that the resident had clearly fallen on the island, not fainted in the room as Yuli said. The bearded man felt something was wrong, so he went to the first floor to check. The boyfriend continued to guide the surveillance back and found that the resident walked to the door. Then there was a flash, and soon there was a yellow light. That was the light from the stairwell, so the resident opened the black brick wall, and he had a chance to go out. So how could he die? The boyfriend continued to watch back. The surveillance camera clearly recorded the whole process of Yuli killing the residents. Was knocked off during the struggle. Yuli pressed the boyfriend to the ground and carried him away, strangling her neck tightly. The boyfriend stretched his arm forward, trying to reach out for the gun, but he was always just 1 point away. At the critical moment, the bearded man got up and kicked Yuli over, successfully getting the pistol. Xiaoli hurried over and told them not to shoot. Yuli might know what they should do. Some hidden secret, and that everything outside was contaminated, so it was safest to stay in the room. Under repeated questioning, Yuli simply explained that the black brick wall was a defense system that could withstand any attack, whether atomic, biological, or chemical. This explained why Xiaoli couldn't break it open with her electric drill. Seeing that Yuli couldn't provide any clues, the others tried to find a way out by studying the resident's behavior before death. A computer for several hours, apparently working on something. Her boyfriend, a game designer, saw this and instantly realized that he was designing a program and loading it onto his phone, but unfortunately, Yuli had destroyed it. But this wasn't a problem for her boyfriend, he just needed to find a new phone. Electromagnetic waves, so using the flash of light could open the black brick wall. He transferred the program he had used to study the residents to another phone, and then it was time to witness a miracle. The boyfriend used the program to scan the wall and found 4 buttons on it. Every time he pressed a button, the phone would flash with light. When all 4 buttons were pressed, something magical happened. The black brick wall in front of him began to flow slowly like water, breaking into different small pieces. The dirty woman stepped forward first, stretched out her hand tentatively, and found that her fingers could actually pass through the black brick wall. Could this be a portal? She stretched out her whole hand and felt the wall was warm, and then her arm. Something seemed to be moving. Just as she was about to continue exploring, she found her arm stuck, as if something was pulling at her from the opposite side. She tried to pull her arm free, but her body sank deeper and deeper. Despite their best efforts, they ultimately failed. The dirty woman harbored a hidden hatred for the Northwest. Huzinan looked at his girlfriend's body with sorrow, saying that life was always so fragile. But Yuri, standing by, continued to sneer, saying, "This is the price you pay for disobeying." Furious, Huzinan fired several shots at her, finally silencing Yuri. Unable to accept his girlfriend's departure, Huzinan accompanied her. Suddenly, only Xiaoli and her boyfriend were left. They refused to give up. They couldn't let these people's sacrifices go in vain. The two continued trying to press the buttons. Suddenly, Xiaoli saw her phone flashing. She realized that each button triggered a specific number of flashes. So by checking the number of flashes on the security camera, she could determine the correct order. Xiaoli's next target was her. She stepped back in fear and accidentally fell through the middle hole. Yuri watched her like prey. Suddenly, her boyfriend recovered and kicked Yuri down with him. The 3 of them engaged in a battle on the underground level. Xiaoli's boyfriend quickly grabbed her and ran to the subway emergency exit. Machete. He attacked Yuri's injured area but fell backward, yelling at Xiaoli to leave. A large gap has now appeared in the black brick wall. Yuri, straddling her boyfriend, slaps him, and the sword is about to fall. At this critical moment, Yuri suddenly collapses. Xiaoli has forced him to sleep with a hammer. The two pass through the black brick wall and walk through a long corridor, finally catching sight of the long-lost sunlight. Stepping out, they discover that all the buildings outside are completely covered in black brick walls. They get in the car, determined to walk hand in hand, even if the future is full of difficulties and obstacles. The car radio announces that a fire at the company has caused a serious malfunction. It's unclear if the people trapped in the room can escape.